You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, putting the fun back in drag racing with Fingrz Lark Ness Monster and tough Toranas at Mount Maunganui's Heads Racing Supplies. But it's our mates at Maguire's getting us underway. This week we bring you the East Coast's big weekend, Marineland's Rod and Custom Festival, 27 years in.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a while, and it probably just sort of semi-quietly, I suppose. And now we've just got people that just keep coming back year after year. Must be just a formula that works. People like it. But yeah, 27 years, long time. Long time.
Basically started as a fundraiser, a very, very limited basic fundraiser for our club. They'd come up with this brilliant idea, having a swap meet. It was held in the Oval just over here in the Speedway grounds.
Initially it was touted as a garage sale, spectacular or extravaganza. Seemed to be the in thing at the time, garage sale. So we decided to make it a 2-day event, and we had a rod run on the Saturday. At that stage, I think I had the only hot rod in the club. We were a bit thin on cars. We had a couple of street machines, and so I led the first rod run. Not too many got sort of like lost, so we deemed that as quite successful, and it just evolved from there, really.
The 2-day festival's formula is a simple one. Saturday splits the group in two and ushers them to locations dotted around the Hawke's Bay. Sunday is the big one, a show and shine and swap meet adjacent to Marineland's Miani club rooms. And it's attracted some pretty big names over its 27 years too. The now late Pete Shapouris, co-founder of Pete and Jake's Hot Rod Parts and the renowned SoCal Speed Shop, and well-known hot rodder Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top fame, to name a few.
The display on the Sunday for the swap meet and show, we've had to cap that at 700 cars now because of the venue. That's all we can cope with. So you've got to get in early if you want your car on display, because it's become a very popular event.
For the last 12 years, the Sunday Show and Shine has adopted a theme to keep things fresh. This time out, it was pre-75 muscle cars taking centre stage, along with two special guests of honour, New Zealand speed equipment pioneers Graham Berry and Dave Chung. The Show and Shine sports an eclectic mix of American and Aussie, even Brits and bikes. Pretty appropriate, really. It reflects host club Marineland Rod and Custom's take on the car hobby.
Most people, you think of hot rods as your pre-49 stuff and that sort of thing, but I mean, we don't actually have a criteria of car to join. In fact, you can join our club without even having a car. HQ Holdens and stuff like that, we've got a few of those in the club, guys are building them. We sort of do a little bit of drag racing and a club stuff too, and we even encourage the young guys too, like honestly, if someone comes on with a cool old Japper and want to be part of Marineland, there's nothing stopping them. That's what we encourage.
And while 27 years ago, Marineland might have been a bit light on hot rods in the ranks, it seems they've more than made up for it since.
When Billy Gibbons was bought out from ZZ Top fame, I was given a bit of a heads up because I was building the car anyway and rumours were flying, and I thought, I'm going to get the car going anyway. And so literally I got the car driving without interior, without glass, down here, but it had a cert plate on it, and I was happy, and we got it to the event on the day. So no one else noticed except for the club members obviously, but I was pretty chuffed. It's a New Zealand new 1928 Ford Model A. It's had a 2-inch roof top, 9-inch diff, 305 Chevy with 700R trans. Nothing special, but like a good reliable car. We've done a lot of miles, actually clocked 30,000 miles last week. So almost 10 years to the day, 30,000 miles, and I'm pretty happy with that too.
1937 Chev flatback sedan. It's been hot rodded since the 80s, and then I've had it now for 24 years. It's just been fantastic for me. I've got 4 kids, and we travelled all around the North Island, it towed a camper, things like that. So it started off with a 283 Chev in it. It's now got a 350 Chev in it. Just normal running gear, 350 auto, 8-inch Ford diff in it, and just really reliable. If I can't go to a run, someone else wants to go, I'll lend it to them. It's just that drivable. It's been just a great stalwart for our club and for me and for my family. It's been so much fun.
Probably been on the road now for about 1.5 years. I sort of collected some parts. Originally I bought the truck as just a roller off Trade Me, just like everyone else seems to do. And I just built it in the shed at home, you know, like it was a pair of overalls and in my jandals sort of scenario. And I just wanted to build something that looked like an old truck that was found in a paddock, and someone had basically gave their idea of a hot rod to it. It's all Ford, no Chevy parts in there. Yeah, it's just what I thought was a cool old truck. The old dash, that's a bit of Kiwiana, that's 57 Vauxhall Velox, which I've shortened and made a fit in there to make it look right. And I just love driving around. It's just good fun, yeah.
There would be plenty of that this weekend, and Paul would find himself in fine company, including the weekend's honoured guests, Graham Berry and Dave Chung of BC Speed Equipment, real deal pioneers of New Zealand's car hop-up hobby.
Started as in 1967 with another partner, and we were doing pattern making. We had nothing to do with cars at all, but then I slowly started doing the car stuff, which upset him immensely, so he left. And I asked Dave to come in with me, and we worked together for 2.5, maybe 3 years, and then I went my own way and Dave carried on with BC. There was not so many American cars around, and with me being a pattern maker and that, we were able to start making intake manifolds and valve covers and all that sort of stuff, and that basically was speed equipment in those days.
Yeah, when we built our cars, we virtually built a car. We couldn't go down the road and say, oh, let's buy an axle, let's buy a chassis. We had to make it or do whatever we can do with it.
Basically, whatever anybody wanted, we'd have a go at making it for them. For guys prettying up their cars rather than really making them go fast, because honestly, I don't think some of it made a lot of difference, but everybody was happy.
It's fair to say this pair of rather humble hot rod heroes were taken aback by all the attention.
Most of them are familiar with what we've done, and that's a surprising thing because a lot of them are a lot younger than us.
Yeah, and a lot of guys treasure it. Like the guy over there ripped his tappet cover off his car, brought it over and got us to sign it. And I said, why? He wanted to sign it, fair enough.
And it is nice to be appreciated like that, I think. You know.
And some of their handiwork has gone pretty quick since.
It's the old Dave Chung, Graham Berry puppy love car that they built back in the 70s. Yeah, and then I've ended up with it and turned it into what it is now. It's currently the fastest street legal car in the country. Probably pushes the boundaries of what is a street legal car, obviously. It's done a 730 at 195 mile an hour. It's a twin turbocharged, 532 cubic inch big block Chevy. Obviously all front half, back half. The car's, it's been converted into basically a race car that's legal for the street, you know.
While the Chev is clearly a very different animal to the one Dave Chung piloted back in the 70s, Reese has always been quick to embrace the car's backstory.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's all part of the history of the car, and I had a scheme on the back of it, a vinyl wrap that had the puppy love coming through there a while ago, and now we've changed it around a bit again, but it's always had a BC sticker on it and just sort of its heritage there at some point on the car. So yeah, it's cool to have that history with the car, yeah.
And history too is something Marineland's big weekend continues to make as the event closes in fast on 3 decades. But like any good hot rod, you can be sure it'll keep copping a tweak and tune to keep things fresh.
We've been the victim of our own success on the rod run. We now have to turn people away because the venues are just too small for the size of the people. It's a good thing and a bad thing, but that's how it works.
To come on the weekend and put it all together, it is stressful, but on the day, the boys and the ladies, the wives, you know, that everyone tucks right in and it becomes a really neat event.
We're such a passionate club about hot rodding, you know, and cars and that, so the more we can do for it, that's what we're all about, you know.
amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Need a Car. Right, thanks to the crew at Mount Shop, we're shed raiding. This week, we gate crash Heads Racing Supplies.
We've had Heads Racing Supplies going for about 15 years now. Our humble beginnings in a little 6x9 shed at my house in Te Puke, and pretty much carried on from there.
And being the eagle-eyed viewers that you are, you've already picked there's a bit of a theme going on in this Mount Maunganui workshop.
I remember going to Bay Park Raceway and watching, I think it was called production supercars or muscle cars way back then. And I remember watching a guy by the name of Alan Ferguson roaring around in his SLR 5000 and pretty much hooked on Toranas, and here we are today. I think we're up to number 10 now in total, 6 road cars and about 4 race cars. Predominantly the race cars have been for Central Muscle Cars, CMC. Everything's in-house apart from the panel and paint, and we don't screw the engines together. So we do all our own roll cages, all the fab on the car, build our own diffs, turnkey from a body shell.
The devil is in the details. And Rodney's build blueprint for a battle-ready CMC track car isn't all that far removed from one we often hear in a very different environment, the halls of the show car scene.
Look, at the end of the day, if someone's paying the money to have a brand new car built, it needs to look like a brand new car in my opinion. So certainly they have to look right with the chrome bumpers, and I like the glass. You're adding a little bit of weight to the car, but I think the presentation at the other end is far better in my opinion. Just concentrate a lot on attention to detail really, and hopefully, you know, the results show at the other end, you know.
Like Exhibit A, for example.
So the latest build that we've just finished, so it's a hatchback Torana. It wasn't anything special to start with, it's just like an SL sort of body, because you don't want to be sort of chopping up a nice genuine SS. It's running an LSX, it's a Dart cast iron block. We've got a Kelly's crank, JE pistons, Oliver rods. We've got the latest AFR heads. Gearbox wise, we've got a G-Force GSR, Brembo calipers and rotors all round, and of course our 17-inch Simmons to top it off. So yeah, that's pretty much a brief on that one.
All wrapped up in a package that looks just a bit too nice for the racetrack.
We definitely don't want dings and crashes, yes. But it does happen. End of the day, that's the game that these guys play. It is a bit heartbreaking, but hey, you just got to pick your chin up and carry on.
And strangely, Rodney's own car doesn't look much like a Torana at all.
I guess back in the 80s, when I was around 20 years old, these are the cars that I used to remember watching Bathurst as a young fella, and always probably dreamed of how could I ever own one of these. And lo and behold, a couple of years ago now, this particular car, the Lansville Smash Repairs, Trevor Ashby, Steve Reed car, I heard about it, was in a shed in Timaru. I believe it had been in storage for about 18 years. And a couple of days later, I'd had secured it and ventured off down to Timaru and brought it back and started a restoration. We stripped it back to a shell, and with the help of Trevor Ashby himself, and who still owns Lansville Smash Repairs in Sydney. He's helped me along the way with the livery, all sorts of bits and bobs. Being a genuine Group A car, it's very, very important that when you restore these, you put them back to their original. You don't want to hot rod it, you don't want another 100 horsepower in the engine. You just got to rebuild it exactly how it was, because that is the car, and that's where the value is in them. And Group A racing in Australia and Europe for genuine cars is quite a big thing nowadays. So yeah, very important to keep it totally original.
Rodney's forged a career spinning spanners on Toranas or Torana imposters while building heads racing supplies from its humble home garage beginnings. Whether they're fit for hairpins or highways, it's safe to say Rodney has found his happy place.
100% my dream job. I mean, from outsiders looking in, they come here and they look at you playing with some cool cars and race cars, and they just think you live the life of Riley, really. It does have its ups and downs. It's certainly not easy every day, but I've got a pretty cool job.
Right, thanks to Need a Car, please meet Craig Fingrz Mullen, who's putting the fun back into drag racing, shifting lanes from an 8-second nitro altered to a 59 Studebaker gasser dubbed the Lark Ness Monster.
Well, actually it started, we took our altered Nitro 8 to Australia and do some racing over there. Met some Aussie guys, Damien Kemp, Steve Biggs with a couple, the loose cannon and the Thunderbolt. And when we saw them driving into the first track we raced at in Warwick, and both Andy and I looked at each other and said, now that looks like fun. That was when the plan was hatched in like 2013, I guess, and then the Lark turned up. Drag racing is definitely a bug. We were out of the sport for probably 3 years. We just parked the altered up for a while, and it wasn't until I started driving the gasser again that all those feelings came back, and I thought, oh wow, man, I really missed it, and never had so much fun since.
Perhaps the most curious part of Fingrz' return to drag racing was the move to a slower car. Not exactly the usual progression in the sport.
Yeah, total opposite. It wasn't about the speed for us. We were running 8 seconds in the altered, but I won't say it got boring, but it got a little bit tedious, I guess. And just the work with it, we wanted something a little bit more user-friendly, less maintenance, and more fun. So yeah, there's plenty going on. It runs 10 seconds, 2 seconds slower, but there's plenty going on with 4 gears to change to, and lifting the front wheels. It's all go inside, and man, I'm grinning from ear to ear all the way down. The gases came about to raise the profile of the front end to transfer the weight to the rear tyres, because in the early days, the compound of the tyres was not what it is today. So they tried anything to try and move the weight to the rear to transfer the weight on the launch. So that's kind of how it started. Eventually it evolved to independent front ends, and the front started to come down again. But what we're all about is the early versions, nose in the air, nosebleed stance. The aesthetics of the class is a big thing what it's about. It's got to have a name, It's all the old cars in the old days, had a name down the side. Yeah, definitely about the look. In fact, mostly about the look and the show more than anything. Yeah, and not about the ETs, which is why we like it.
A philosophy that Craig is far from alone in. Nostalgia gases are a big deal on the drag strips of the US, and have been for some time, but it's only been the last couple of years that things have really ramped up down these ways with the formation of the vintage gas class. And with vehicle personality a big part of the deal, Craig had a trump card to stand out from the rapidly growing pack.
I don't think anyone's going to have another 59 Studebaker Lark. They're a pretty ugly car, but turn them into a race car and they're grouse. I didn't have the time or the know-how, to be honest, to build my own. I know what I wanted it to do, and that was wheel stand, dry hops like they did in the day. I wanted something built tough with the right gearbox, manual, 4-speed. So yeah, I'd been watching this car for a long time, actually, lots of videos online, and I just kept coming back to it. Had everything that ticked the boxes. The price was a little high, and negotiating started, and that's, we did the deal. And I couldn't have been happier. So it's got a 400 Chevy, dart block, AFR, alloy heads, Jericho 4-speed, and a strange rear end. So yeah, strange centre section, 35 spline axles. So everything's kind of built to last. It's painted kind of a crappy Chevy orange, so it just looks like a standard motor, but if you have a close look, it's got some good bits in it, that's for sure. Yeah, it's got Carrillo rods and all the good gear, so yeah, definitely built to last, and it sounds pretty crisp, so you know it's a goodie.
And these unique drag cars also have a unique way of getting down the quarter. It takes a bit of adjustment from the altered.
The main thing with the Lark is it's all about getting the revs in the right range for wheel standing. I don't have a shift light or anything, so I've just kind of got to guess. So I had a bit of trouble, but yeah, by the time I got back into the nostalgias, I'd nailed it, and yeah, I know where it's got to be now. So yeah, a bit of seat time was all it took, really. If it's up in the air, don't take your foot out, keep your foot hard up it, and if you've got time, change your gear.
And now that Craig's found his way into the Lark Ness Monster's race seat, good luck getting him out of it.
You did right there. Yeah, I am a convert. Yeah, I've definitely found a spot where I'm having so much fun compared to the other car. We may jump back in it, you never know, but yeah, we definitely found a spot where we want to stay, that's for sure.
Want to win big? Prizes don't get much bigger than this one. A massive Teng Tools 417-piece toolkit, 7-drawer cabinet and 6-drawer top box, a complete Maguire's car care pack and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. What do you need to do to be in to win? Simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Easy. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop. Undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.